a wider discussion of the impact of the Kim Potter trial and the death of Daunte Wright when it comes to race relations and mental health in this country. And Nikema was touching on that in a way. And joining us now for more on this is Dr. Teresa Taylor Williams, psychotherapist and CEO of TTW Associates. And Dr. Williams, thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So in the opening statements in this case, as we've been talking about it, the defense, that's Officer Kim Potter's lawyer, said, quote, all Mr. Wright had to do was stop and not resist arrest, and he would not have been killed. That may be true. The case is more than just that question, though. But what do you make of that argument that the defense is making, the frontline argument for the jury? He should have stopped, and he'd still be alive.
You know, with the history of what's been going on with young black men in this country and the interactions with police officers, for someone to minimize what happened with Daunte Wright and say that if he had stopped, he would still be alive is so minimizing of what actually happens when a young man is pulled over by police officers. You know, the brain goes into an automatic reaction, and it's called fight or flight. And so in those instances, when you are under duress, when you are facing a shocking situation, whether it's being put in handcuffs, fear sets in, recall sets in. Maybe you have been in this situation before. You've had a friend or a relative who has faced this situation. And even in just watching what has been happening in this country with young black men and police officers, that scared feeling will make you do something that is unpredictable. So in that situation, simply not reacting, simply not trying to flee, Daunte Wright did not make that decision. There's an automatic response in our brain that is triggered based upon past experiences and what we are afraid of at the moment. So that is not true.
And doctor, if I could just get your reaction to the testimony of Daunte Wright's mother, who was on the call, and as Alex Brochet just put it, was in some ways in real time having what I understand is known as the talk in among black families, when because your boy, because your son, and I call him a boy because to a mom, he's always going to be at some place in her heart, her boy. He's confronted with police, and she's telling him, you know, be careful, you know, respond. And then to hear the phone is hung up, and somebody picks it up and turns the FaceTime phone around, and she sees her boy shot in that seat. And I just wonder what your reaction to that testimony is, and what it says about this incident, and really about what happened there.
Sure. You know, the talk is something that I believe every mother of a child of color, both male and female, has had. I certainly have had the talk with my son. And the talk consists of giving your son or daughter even instructions on what happens when a police officer pulls you over, what to do and what not to do, because we're anticipating that if we move or if we go to grab our license or proof of registration without asking, we will be shot. And so the talk that mom was having with young Daunte was telling him exactly what so many of us have told our sons. Please cooperate. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Ask if you may move to get your license or your registration. Don't resist, and please follow all of the instructions. The pain, the emotion that mom has suffered, hearing the phone go dead and then not knowing where her son was, I cannot imagine that feeling. But I do know those fears of having a young black son go out at night and wondering if they're going to come back. This mom will take years to recover from then hearing the son, the passenger saying he's not moving, and showing her her son laying there lifeless. This is life-changing for her. And for the community surrounding that, it's going to be something that's going to be devastating, but it also leads to the question of police brutality and when they cross the line. And where is that line? And what can we do to keep our young people safe, young people of color, when they have to be pulled over by the police, that is just a traffic stop and not the end of their life?
I've got a boy myself, a little boy, and I frankly, I just can't imagine. And it's wrong and something that we all have to work to change in this country. That mothers of some children have to go through that and others don't. Yeah. So let me ask you to take a step back, if you will, when you think about the impact on the community. Daunte Wright was shot and killed during the trial of Derek Chauvin, and now, okay, who's convicted of the murder of George Floyd, as you mentioned. So some of the prosecutors from the Chauvin case are in the courtroom there. And if you remember, George Floyd's girlfriend was actually one of Daunte Wright's old teachers in that tight-knit community. So many connections and tragedies. How do you begin to process that for the people of Brooklyn Center and of the wider Minneapolis community?
I think that those close ties to the Chauvin case just resonates that, you know, there's 6 degrees of separation, that Daunte's teacher was the former girlfriend of George Floyd, indicates that it's a very tight-knit community. I think that for the residents right now, I don't know that you can even try to discuss healing. I think they're in shock. I think that those people in that community are just under duress. It's going to result in PTSD, you know, nightmares, a recall of incidences that they have faced. It's going to put fear in members of that community. Fears of whether or not their sons or daughters are safe to be out at night, safe to drive, safe to walk as being Black. And in the wider community, in this country, it really is a message that we must not only educate our police officers to what goes on in our communities, the fear that we have that we may be a little bit more jumpy. We may not trust the process of being arrested. And so I think it goes to more education of our police officers who absolutely face danger every day, but to be able to deal with the sensitivities specifically of people of color and how you treat them, how you speak to them, how you approach them, and that we can believe that we're going to get justice while we're being handcuffed. They're going to treat us right, and our children are not going to end up dead because they had an air freshener or even pulled over for something so minuscule. To me, that goes to profiling of our young Black men.
Dr. Teresa Taylor Williams, those are the wider issues in this case. It's why this case has drawn nationwide attention. It's why we're covering it. And we thank you for helping us understand them.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.